Welcome to The Lead Word. This is a special free agency edition. A lot of stuff happened since the last show was recorded, so we're doing a midweek update. With me, as always, is my partner, Trey Daubert. Trey, how's it going?
I'm all right, Chad. It's just the NFL. A lot of shit going on.
Oh, yeah. It's been a fast and furious sort of few days here. Any trades and or contracts can officially be signed today. Monday through Tuesday was just the legal tampering period. But now pen can meet paper. Deals can be signed.
Yep.
Everything becomes official in the new league year. Happy New Year, Trey.
Happy New Year, too. Let's get started right away here. Start with the big one, Odell Beckham. Chad, I have a lot to say, so just jump in whenever you're ready. The more and more I started thinking about the Odell Beckham trade after I wrote about it, the more and more I just kept coming back to the pick of Saquon Barkley now just makes zero sense. At the time, I didn't like it, but you could understand where the Giants said, okay, we have Odell to stretch the defense. We have this premier running back in Saquon Barkley. We have a good tight end. We can build the rest of the team, and we think those two guys are special players where we can win football games. Without Beckham on the roster, that pick is indefensible. That Barkley pick makes no sense. It just doesn't. You can't pass on a quarterback at that point with a rebuilding team. A running back of Barkley's talent does nothing for a rebuilding team. Like, that's the biggest takeaway in my mind. They f***ed that pick up. Barkley's worthless on that team.
I agree. Saquon Barkley on this Giants team.
Yes, on this team.
On this team.
Yes.
Is worthless.
That's the biggest takeaway I had for the Beckham deal.
But Saquon Barkley on the Giants 5 years from now, when they're finished their rebuild, he's going to be a monster. That's one thing about rebuilds.
That's too late.
It's not too late.
You can get a running back 5 years later. It's too late. He should be gone. You can't wait 5 years for a running back. The Steelers got, 5 years at a belt, and they were great years. Great years. Time to move on. Find your next guy. You can find running backs after 5 years. Flip them over. Barkley on this Giants team with 5 bad years is worthless. They should trade him to the highest bidder right now.
So, the average shelf life of any running back is 30 years old. If you give Saquon Barkley 5 years of a shitty Giants team, that'll put him at 27. He'll be right in his prime. Saquon Barkley, he's a generational player, in my opinion.
Greatest of all time.
This guy, we're going to be talking about him like we talk about Barry Sanders, like we talk about Jim Brown, like we talk about Emmitt Smith, those kinds of guys. If you put him at 27, he's going to be right in the middle of his prime. And that's when the Giants' rebuild is going to be over. That's when they're going to be ready to win the Super Bowl. Now, a lot of things can f*** that up. Don't get me wrong. They could make all the wrong moves in free agency. They could make all the wrong moves in the draft. If that happens, then you're right. They shot themselves in the ass. But you got to believe that if you're the Giants, you're going to make the right moves. Because when it comes to a rebuild, every rebuild starts the same. You have to evaluate your players on the team, and you have to say, okay, this is where we're at. This is where we want to go. Who can we get rid of that puts us where we want to be 5 years from now? And who can we keep that will keep us just relevant enough to keep the fans interested, but at the same time, when we are ready to win, make us champions, get us a Super Bowl?
Let's say you're right. Let's say he's a good running back until the age of 30. A couple things need to happen. One, the Giants need to not run him into the ground. Do you trust that the Giants are smart enough to say, we're going to bring in another running back so that we don't kill him during the 5 years that we suck? Is that going to happen? Because I don't see that happening.
I mean, I'm biased,
Yeah.
I'm biased, so I'm prone to say that they're going to be stupid and they're going to ruin him. But that could just be wishful thinking. I don't know. All they need to do is just sign one guy. One guy and say, hey, look, you just need to keep Saquon fresh. We'll pay you boatloads of money just to keep the big defenders off of Saquon's back.
The other part of this is, let's say they do use him smartly. Now we're getting into a lot of ifs. We're getting into a lot of ifs to where they're going to build a good team around him. They're going to put an offensive line around him. They're not going to run him into the ground for 5 years. And then we have the question of, if the Giants were to trade him, would they be better 5 years from now? If they got 3 first-round picks for him, and were able to get 3 good players, and then get a running back who's maybe not as good, but 95% of them 5 years from now, who doesn't have any tread on the tires, how is that team not better?
Hey, you said we're getting into a lot of what-ifs when we talked about Saquon. 3 draft picks is a lot of what-ifs. It's not like the Giants have been drafting real great recently. Their team wouldn't be the shit that it is now if they had been.
I agree, but in this rebuilding setting where you're going to start over, I don't see how Barkley fits this. I just don't. And you can go, you can take this from a bunch of angles. They can either say that they messed up not drafting Darnold, or you could even say they messed up not drafting Bradley Chubb. Because that's a 12-sack-a-year guy that they passed on too. And that guy's valuable whether they're winning or losing. Barkley's not valuable with a bad offensive line and a terrible offense. He's just not.
Can we all agree, though? In 2021, they're drafting Trevor Lawrence?
I don't think you can guarantee that. Can you guarantee that? How are you going to know who gets the first pick? They had the 6th pick this year, and they're terrible.
When you want to be bad enough, Trey, and you really believe in yourself, anything is possible.
Right. Apparently nobody wants to play quarterback for the Dolphins, so they're going to be in that running too.
Who's their coach right now? He used to be the Giants' offensive coordinator, right?
Who? Which
Vikings
coach?
Offensive coordinator, I mean. Right?
What team? What team are you talking about?
The Giants head coach.
Pat Shurmur.
Right.
He was Chip Kelly's offensive coordinator in Philly.
Any chance Pat Shurmur's still there at the end of the rebuild?
No shot.
It's got to suck to be that guy.
All right, let's go over the Giants, because I don't hate them trading Beckham. And again, I think the reason why the number one thing that stood out to me was Barkley. Number 2, if they were going to make this move, they waited too long. You can't give him $90-some million extension, eat $20 million in dead cap, and then trade him.
Well, they're only eating $16 million.
All right, $16 million. They ate $16 million in dead cap to trade him when they could have just did this before they gave the extension and probably gotten more because he was on a rookie contract. That's when you trade him. You can't go into him, pay him a shit ton of money, and then trade him. Doesn't work. Like, the whole thing that they did with this, they f***ed it up. If they traded him before the rookie contract ended, they would have gotten more draft picks, and they could have actually had a rebuild in place instead of eating dead cap and then sucking at the same time.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Well, his rookie deal ended before last season started, right?
He was on the 5th-year option.
And they they extended him during the middle of the season.
But he was on the 5th-year option before the contract. Like, he was about to expire. He was still on the rookie contract.
Right, I'm just trying to remember. Did they restructure him in the middle of the season and extend him?
No, that was before the year.
Or they just gave him the new contract before the season started?
Before the year, they gave him the new deal.
But he would still had the 5th-year option. He still would have been eligible to play last year, right?
Yeah, without the extension.
Okay, I agree. I think you're right. They did f*** that up. But at the same time, I also think that they probably didn't think they were going to be as bad as they were this year.
I did. I think anyone with a brain knew they were going to suck.
They are who we thought they were.
Well, they were too close to it. I think they were too optimistic.
They have a quarterback who threw 18 touchdowns and 27 picks, and that was 5 years ago. He sucks. He hasn't been able to play for 5 years.
Look at it from this perspective. Yes, Eli Manning does suck. We've all agreed about that. But if you're the Giants, you're coming off a season where Pat McAdoo's been your head coach. That whole thing with the benching of Eli Manning goes down.
Which was the right decision.
You fire Ben McAdoo and you're looking at it like, hey, look, we have Saquon Barkley. We've got Odell Beckham Jr., who, as much as I hate to admit it, is probably a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. We've got, what's his name? Shepard. I want to say it's Sterling Shepard. I know it's not.
Yep. Sterling Shepard.
Oh, never mind. I was right there.
Yeah.
You got Ingram at tight end.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of talented pieces. Your offensive line is still shit, but you signed Nate Solder, so you think he's going to be good.
How'd that
at least
one turn
average. You're thinking you're getting at least what he was when he was with the Patriots.
Really?
Hey, I didn't. I'm saying this is what they thought.
Okay.
So you go into this season and you're like,
defense?
hey, look, we got rid of Ben McAdoo. We got Pat Shurmur. We maybe got some things cooking here.
This fucking guy, Dave Gettleman, he's got to be one of the dumbest people on the planet. He commits to Eli Manning. If they cut Eli Manning tomorrow, you know they'd save $18 million against the cap. You know what you could do with that?
Yeah. That's more cap space than the Eagles actually have right now, by the way.
This fucking guy signs Nate Solder, makes him the highest paid offensive lineman in the history of the sport. Fucking sucks. Every person in America knows that he's a product of New England. He fucking gives Jonathan Stewart $6 million. The guy had 6 carries all year. Cut his ass. This team has no idea what they're doing. They trade Eli Apple for a 4th-round pick. He goes to New Orleans, and he's a starter day one and is a pretty good player. This guy has no fucking idea what he's doing. Not one single clue.
Eli Apple, as far as a pretty good player, I think that's a stretch.
He started every game for the Saints and was okay.
Okay, I'm not. Okay, he did start, but he's average as a starter. He's not great.
But he was a train wreck with the Giants.
True. And they gave up a 1st-round pick to get him, too. He was a 1st-round pick. Actually, I think, didn't they draft him, like, in the 10 spot?
He was the top 10 pick.
So, since we're on the subject of David Gettleman...
And they let Landon Collins walk, which, fine. Why the do you want Jabril Peppers in that trade? That's really the fucking piece you want as the player in return for Odell Beckham? That's really the fucking guy you want? Jabril Peppers, who can't cover he can't cover a fucking snail. He sucks. Why the hell do you want him? That's the player you want in the Odell Beckham trade? Give me a break.
Well, I think the most important thing that they wanted in this trade was the picks. And then they saw an opportunity to get a safety. I think Jabril Peppers can start in the league. He can be a starter in the league.
There's a reason why the Browns tried to turn him into a linebacker. He can't cover anybody.
You ain't gonna do shit.
Now, I do want to say this, since we're on the subject of David Gettleman. Any chance he's not done yet? Because you're pretty adamant about them trading Saquon Barkley. Are they thinking about moving Barkley?
I would. I said this to you in text yesterday. If I was him and I was going to trade Beckham and eat that dead cap, there's no chance in hell I'm walking out of that trade without Nick Chubb and then moving Saquon for as much as I can get. Because I think Chubb's better. But let's say you're right and Barkley's better. Chubb's at least 90% of what I'm going to get with Barkley, and I know somebody's going to give me a fortune for Barkley. And I can start this whole thing over. I can cut Eli Manning. I can free up $17 million in cap. I can make a bunch of smart, tiny bargain signings, give my team a respectable team. I can draft a quarterback. I'm looking great. Having Barkley does nothing for me. He doesn't impact winning for them next year, or the next year, or the next year.
Pick up the phone and start dialing.
Okay. And I agree. Having Saquon Barkley's not doing anything for you, at least for 5 years until the rebuild's over. What does Nick Chubb do? What does getting Nick Chubb do for you, though?
I at least have somebody in place to where I'm not a total disaster at the position. That's all it is.
Isn't that what Saquon Barkley is?
No. The Giants think that Saquon Barkley's Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders is worthless on that team. He just is. I have Chubb to where I'm not going to run him into the ground, and then I can get like 3 or 4 good draft picks for Barkley and really start building.
Is there any shot they're willing to move on from Barkley, though? Or do you think they're going to be stubborn and bullheaded, and they're just going to say, nope, we got him, we want him, we're keeping him?
What I would do is sell Barkley to the highest bidder and start over. What they're going to do is they're going to keep Barkley, run him into the ground, have a terrible offensive line, or either overpay for offensive linemen who suck like Nate Solder, and then they're going to use that Giants pick, and they're going to draft a quarterback who sucks like Daniel Jones, and then they're going to be absolutely in the worst position possible. That's what I think they'll do. If they use that Browns pick in the first round to take a guy like Jared Stidham, who sucks ass, I will lose it. I will lose it. Could you imagine they use that Browns first round pick and overdraft a quarterback? Could you imagine?
I mean, you would have to think that that's why they still have Eli Manning on the books, is because they know that they're going to not get a quarterback at least until next year.
Are you sure?
I'm not sure. But that would be, I mean, again, you're paying a lot of cap space for a placeholder that's a lot of cap space for a placeholder quarterback, but, I mean, it would be smarter than the alternative. They can't be that dumb.
Are you sure? This is the same guy that handed Jonathan Stewart $6 million last year, and he had 6 carries.
It's $1 million per carry.
All right, can we talk about the Browns? Because I'm sick of the Giants. I really am.
One last thing. You know if Dave Gettleman's sick, does he need like a kidney or a liver? Because I'll take that bullet for Saquon for Philly. Just saying.
Wow. You'd send a kidney for him.
I'd send a kidney.
Wow.
Not my whole liver. I'd give him half because I can work with half a liver.
Okay.
But somebody, I don't know, if we have to poison Dave Gettleman, somebody get on that and I'll eat the bullet. I'll give him a kidney or something.
What about which one would you rather have? Would you rather have the Eagles trade for Saquon Barkley or rather go out on a date with Brie Larson? Which one would you rather have?
Saw that tweet, did you?
Yeah, I did.
That's tough.
Ooh.
Am I guaranteed a Super Bowl with Saquon?
No.
Probably Brie Larson then. They'd go on a date with Brie Larson.
All right, let's talk about the Browns. First thing I thought of with this trade, I went right to Freddie Kitchens. He's like that 16-year-old kid that just got his license and was handed a Ferrari. Don't f*** it up, don't crash. They have so much more talent than any other team in that division that if they don't win that division, I don't even know what they should. If they don't win that f***ing division next year, somebody should be assassinated or something. They have the 2 best running backs in the AFC North. Not arguable. They have 2 of the 4 best receivers in the AFC North. I would say they have the best tight end in the AFC North. I would say they either have the first or second best offensive line in the AFC North. I would say they probably have the best defensive line in the AFC North. They have the best pass rusher in the AFC North.
Best quarterback.
We'll see. I'm not gonna say he's better or worse than Big Ben yet. He might be, but I'm not gonna go there yet. Let's say he is or isn't.
Well, at least he's not alienating his team like Big Ben is.
I agree. But I'm just saying the whole roster. They have the best corner. If they don't win that division next year, with the talent they have, somebody should be killed, thrown in jail, assassinated. I don't know what the answer is. But they don't have Hugh Jackson to f*** it up anymore. There is no excuse if they don't win that division. None.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Well, that's a good point. If they don't win the division, it's squarely on Freddie Kitchens. Because to be honest with you, they should have won the division last year. If you look at their record...
Hugh Jackson ran him into the ground early in the season.
Well, I agree. He did. He screwed him in the beginning of the season. That's what I was going to say. If you look at their record post Hugh Jackson versus their record middle of Hugh Jackson. They lost one game after Hugh got fired?
No, I think they lost. I know they lost to Baltimore in the last game of the year, and they lost to Kansas City with Mahomes. I don't know if they lost another one or not. Might have been 3.
I remember they went on until they lost to Baltimore at the end of the season, they did go on a pretty significant winning streak.
Yeah.
So
I think they lost to Houston too. Maybe. I think it was 3. I think they lost 3 games.
Anyway, my point is, they went on a pretty significant winning streak at the end of the season. They could play last year. They only got better this year. They didn't really lose anybody. There's no reason why they. Honestly, I think the Browns can make a deep playoff run. They should. There's no reason why they shouldn't be in the AFC Championship game.
This is coming down to 2 things because the roster is awesome. Is Baker Mayfield a top 10 quarterback in the league where he can win, or is he just okay? And is Freddie Kitchens a competent head coach? And in fact, I think you can make the argument if they're just average, they should win this division, no problem.
Well, I agree, and I texted you this last night. Baltimore, I think Baltimore right now kind of sucks, but they don't know they're in the middle of a rebuild. So
they suck.
They're going to try, but they're going to suck. They're going to suck. They're still going to try, but they're going to suck.
I don't see how they win more than 5 or 6 games.
You got the Steelers, they also suck. They should probably, they're not necessarily in the middle of a rebuild, but Big Ben is causing a lot of problems for them, and they're not ready to move on from Big Ben yet.
And they have 0 linebackers and 0 corners.
What are you talking about? Ryan Shazier's not doing it for you?
He's f***ing like dead.
I know, I was kidding.
Oh, I should have read the room. All right. No, but since he's been gone, they have no linebackers.
You got Cincinnati, but, I mean, you know what you're getting from Cincinnati at this point.
5 wins and Andy Dalton.
Yeah, they'll get 5 wins to start out the season, 5 in a row, and then they won't win a single game after that.
There's no excuse for them not to win the division in a runaway.
I'm telling you, they can go to the AFC Championship game. They have not only one of the best rosters in the league. I mean, that's it. I said that backwards. I was going to say not only one of the best rosters in the AFC, but they have one of the best rosters in the league. Freddie Kitchens just has to be good at his job, and that's all it comes down to.
Not even good. He has to be okay.
And, I mean, Baker Mayfield, even if Baker Mayfield isn't a top 10 quarterback in the league, all he has to do is be average.
If he plays like Mitch Trubisky, let's say he just sucks, they're still winning the division.
Let's rephrase that, because Mitch Trubisky, I agree he does suck, but he's really good at home.
When he has to score 10 points a game?
Well, if you look at his stats at home versus on the road, I think like at home he has like 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
He drives to the arena every game knowing he has to score 10 points and they win.
So, if Baker Mayfield, if he can be Mitch Trubisky at home, the Browns will be really good.
Yeah.
They'll lose maybe like 4 or 5 games?
Like I can't stress enough the talent gap between the Browns and the rest of the teams in that division. Like, I get that Cleveland had the first pick 2 years ago, but it wasn't because their roster wasn't good. It was because Hugh Jackson was just a moron. Now they have more good players, and a lot more good players.
You think this was their strategy? They just signed Hugh Jackson as head coach, just be like, hey, f*** everything up.
Just get as many ones as you can.
Hugh, do your best to win, but like at the same time, they're like talking to each other behind closed doors like, yeah, he's not going to win shit. We're good.
And you know what else, too? While they didn't hit on all these picks, they passed on so many quarterbacks like Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson. Remember how many times they traded down? They traded down like 6 or 7 times and didn't want to take a quarterback. They have draft picks and draft picks, and they had more draft picks than anybody.
And it's a good thing that you brought that up. When you think about it, when it comes to drafting players, there's kind of like two strategies here. You can be like Seattle when they first started building their Super Bowl teams and be really, or actually, I should probably say you can be like New England. It's probably a better team to go with. And be really, really good at evaluating players and picking players and knowing how they fit in your system and everything like that. And hit on a high percentage of draft picks. Or you can just get a shit ton of draft picks and go into the draft like, it, one of them's got to work.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Yeah.
And that's basically what the Browns did. They got
Cleveland
as many
didn't
picks
hit
as
on all.
possible. They got as many picks as possible and just said, hey, look, one of them's got to be a good player.
And they didn't hit on all of them. But, for example, when they made that trade with Houston and Deshaun Watson went to Houston, they turned that into Denzel Ward and Nick Chubb. Like, you pass how many times, you keep collecting picks, you're going to hit eventually.
Yeah, not a lot of strategy to it, but it worked.
I think that's it for the Beckham trade. We can go over other things.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Let's go to two former Steelers. Chad. First, Le'Veon Bell gets $52.5 million from the Jets, and I don't think I could hate it anymore.
52 mil. Really? That's what his deal was?
Yep.
Thought I saw something that said he's only making like 20 million more than Saquon on Saquon's rookie contract.
Yeah, I tweeted that out.
I knew I saw that.
Yeah. Another reason why I hated the Barkley pick. He's the second highest paid running back last year in the league on a rookie contract.
So how much is Bell's deal guaranteed, and how many years is it?
I believe it was a 4-year deal, 30 guaranteed, 52.5 total.
That's bold for a guy that didn't play at all last year.
Oh yeah, I couldn't hate this deal more.
And he basically got beaten into the ground with the Steelers.
We talk about guys getting run into the ground. Nobody got more run into the ground than Le'Veon Bell did. Nobody.
I mean, obviously he didn't play last year, but if you look at 2 years ago when he was his last year with the Steelers, I guess you could say.
He had like 500 touches.
Right. I mean, we were talking about DeMarco Murray, his last year with the Cowboys. He had like 400.
Oh God, I remember that shit.
He had like 419 carries.
And the Cowboys couldn't wait to get rid of him.
Yeah, he never caught the ball.
Yeah.
Out of the backfield. And then you got Le'Veon Bell, who I think he ran the ball. He probably had like 370 rushes and then 80 something receiving receptions as well.
I looked it up. He had 406 carries and 90 receptions that last year in Pittsburgh that he played.
You think Pittsburgh was just like, F it, we know he's not coming back next year.
Yep. By the way, the other reason why I hate this deal, Bell ran for 4 yards a carry in 2017. Jalen Samuels and James Conner this year ran for 4.5. And they're making pennies.
I agree. It's probably bad contract-wise.
Yeah.
Because again, I think you're just spending a lot of money on. There's too many questions with Antonio Bell, with Le'Veon Bell right now, right? I mean, again,
he could be Maurice Claret and just not know how to play football anymore. We have no idea.
I mean, he weighs almost 300 pounds too right now.
But by the way, I've tried to point this out to multiple people. The way the Steelers have developed running backs in the past, Bell was like 245 in college. They said, F that, you're losing weight. He comes in at 225 and wrecks the league. They did the same thing with James Conner. James Conner was like 245, made him drop 20 pounds, and he was awesome. If the Jets gave him this money without putting him on a scale or making him make weight or whatever, they're f***ed.
So, again, there's just too many questions right now with Le'Veon Bell for me to give him that kind of money.
No way. I wouldn't do it.
But I guess we do have to ask this question. What are the upsides here? Because obviously the Jets feel like this is going to give them the edge they need. The Jets have been so far one of the more active teams in free agency as far as signings are concerned.
Yep.
What does this do for the Jets? Are they primed for a deep playoff run? Because they got their quarterback in Sam Darnold.
Let's say Bell works out. Let's say Bell brings it. He's a great running back. I think the only way this works out is if they keep building the offensive line. Because their offensive line is terrible. It really is. They have nobody up front. And they need another receiver. Jamison Crowder and Robbie Anderson isn't cutting it.
You know what pick they have in the draft? Like they
have number 3
or something, right?
3.
Oh wow, no, that's even better.
They got to trade down.
You think they're targeting DK Metcalf?
Oh my God! At 3?
No, if they trade down.
Maybe. They would have to trade down though. And they should trade down because their roster's not good. They still have no pass rushers or corners.
Who wants to move up to 3 though? That's the question.
Somebody that wants Haskins.
Yeah, but
if Kyler Murray goes 1 and Bosa goes 2, and somebody wants to move up for Haskins, somebody will do it.
I mean, that's with the assumption that Murray goes 1.
Maybe somebody will move up for Murray if he's on the board. Somebody wants to leapfrog the Raiders, thinking the Raiders will pick him at 4.
Pick Kyler Murray at 4.
Yeah.
Even though they still have Derek Carr.
Are you building around Derek Carr for the future? You sure the Raiders wouldn't pick him?
I mean, I'm not. I think we know what we're getting with Derek Carr at this point. But, I mean, you said it yourself. One of the reasons to grab Antonio Brown is to see what you have with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
I mean, in an already weak quarterback class, why pull the trigger on a guy when you can wait till next year and maybe get a better guy?
I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying the Raiders could do it.
I mean, Mike Mayock, I don't know. Maybe he's better. Maybe he's smarter than that.
Or, again, maybe Bosa's on the board. Somebody would move up for Nick Bosa. Somebody would move up for Quinnen Williams. You've seen Quinnen Williams? That guy's a monster. Somebody move up for him.
See Nick Bosa's thighs?
Pause.
Oh, they'd crush a watermelon.
I was surprised by how big he looked at the combine.
He's way more athletic than his brother, too.
I know it's not at all possible, but wouldn't it be cool to see him and his brother on the same team?
That'd be quite the trade-up.
Right. I mean, again, it's not at all possible because they're not going to give up all that draft capital to move up when they already have 2 really great pass rushers in Ingram and Bosa already.
That would be cool, though.
It would.
We talked about this a little bit. Antonio Brown, Raiders. Another trade. I don't. Makes no sense to me. Makes none.
The Steelers got shafted. Let's put it that way.
But did they?
I think they did. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with this. I'm not saying even if Antonio Brown wasn't off his meds and going crazy on social media the whole time, I'm not saying you'd have got a first-round pick for him. Because he's 30 years old.
Yeah.
The production's still there. But to be honest with you, we don't really know how much production is left. So I'm not saying you'd have gotten a first-round pick for him. But you got a first and a third for Odell Beckham. If Antonio Brown wasn't going crazy, you probably could have got a high 2 for him.
Okay, I agree.
I have to say the entire reason why Antonio Brown was going crazy on social media, he just wanted to tank his value for the Steelers.
But that's the reality. They had no leverage. What were they going to do? They couldn't keep him, really. He was going nuts, acting like a moron. Did they really get shafted? Are you sure? It's probably the best they could have did.
No, it is the best they got.
Yeah.
I don't think they could have gotten a better offer.
That's what I'm saying. And the Raiders. How do you give him a new contract? How do you do that?
Let me clarify something here myself real quick. the Steelers shafted themselves.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
They could have handled this Antonio Brown thing a lot better.
I agree. But given the circumstances, I don't think they could have gotten a better offer.
Oh, absolutely not.
And Oakland. How do you give him a new contract?
Are you stupid or something?
He's 3 years under contract. I'm not redoing his deal because he wants to cry about it. Hell, and giving up draft picks and making him the highest paid receiver on a losing team? No way. Makes no sense.
Not to mention, if they do have to start rebuilding, then by the time you're done rebuilding, he's going to be 33 years old. Or actually, I think he's going to be 34, because isn't he turning 31 this year?
Yeah, he's 31 before the year starts.
So, if you do have to rebuild, he's not even going to be there for it.
And now they just redid his contract, and he got dead money all over the place. I don't understand how you give him a new contract.
I understand. I understand giving him a new contract to make him happy, but they did overpay significantly.
He had 3 years under contract. Look, man, you're signed. You signed the deal. I don't feel bad for him. It's not like he has 1 year left, and he's like, "Look, man, I got to play under a 1 year contract. I want some security." Fine. He doesn't even have 2. He has 3 years left on his deal, and they just, no problem. Can't believe that.
Well, I'm not saying I don't agree with what you're saying. My point is look, he obviously went crazy with the Steelers. The guy's talking about not playing next year, sitting out. I get it. You want to make sure he's going to get on. You're giving up whatever for him. You want to make sure he's going to get on the field. I understand that. My thing is, if you're going to restructure him, because he's still got his deal has still got 3 years on it, right? The restructure they gave him is for 3 years, right? What I'm saying is
there was 3 years left, and they basically added $4 million to every single year of the contract.
Right.
Just for here you go.
Well, my point is if you look the ways the Steelers structured his deal, and you're right. If he thought the deal he was getting from the Steelers was shit, he shouldn't have signed it.
Yeah.
But the way his deal was structured was basically he had no money. He wasn't guaranteed any money.
Exactly. That's exactly what the Raiders need.
And the money that he was getting from his contract, his base salary, I think it was only like $9 or $8 million a year.
Yeah.
Look, if you want to go to Antonio Brown and say, "Hey, look, we're not about to make you the highest paid wide receiver in the game right now, but let us throw you some guaranteed money your way." Maybe put like 2, 3, 4 million guaranteed.
Let's give him a roster bonus.
Yeah,
how about that?
Guarantee him some money each one of those 3 years.
Fine.
I'd be fine with that. Making him the highest paid wide receiver for 3 years when you're probably going to end up having to blow the shit up and rebuild anyway.
Nonsense.
That's where I agree with you.
It's total nonsense.
I'm just saying I'm not opposed to restructuring his deal. I'm opposed to how they restructured it.
I'm fine with that. I get it. You want to talk about anything else?
I don't know. You just want to talk about some of the other signings? I don't know if there's any.
We do some quick hitters. Chad, how the Eagles going to replace Jordan Hicks? How about that one?
I mean, they're not getting one of the. So here's the thing with Jordan Hicks. I feel like he's one of the most underrated linebackers in the league.
But he's hurt all the time.
He is hurt a lot. But I mean, as far as talent goes, he played all of last year. He didn't get hurt last year. As far as talent goes, he's easily top 10.
He's a good linebacker.
You're going to have to replace that somehow. You need a middle linebacker. All the guys that were in free agency, they're too rich for the Eagles' blood. They can't afford it. So, I mean, at this point, you're probably going to have to sign somebody, but it's going to be like one of those kind of like middle-of-the-barrel guys who are just kind of like bouncing, one of those journeyman kind of guys who are just going from team to team at this point.
Would you like if they drafted Devin Bush in the first round from Michigan?
I think that he's probably the second best linebacker in the class.
Oh, easy, yeah.
I mean, there's concerns. He's only 5'11". He's only an inch taller than me.
He's fast, though.
My concern is a lot of times middle linebackers get caught in coverage against running backs and tight ends. I don't want to see him get bodied by, a big tight end. But again, you're not getting the other Devin because he's going top 5 maybe. This is the second best guy in the draft. I mean, you got to pull the trigger on him. Unless there's another guy that maybe you can get in the third or second round who you think is going to turn into what you had with Jordan Hicks. But I don't know. I just know you got to draft somebody. And it's got to be a day. It's got to be one of the first 2 days. You're not going to get somebody in the 5th or 6th round. It's got to be either first, second, or third round.
I agree. Want to jump to the Ravens?
Oh yeah, they made a big splash.
This f***ing team. They start the offseason by giving $18 million to a third-string tight end who's never caught a touchdown pass in his career. They let C.J. Mosley walk instead of using the franchise tag. They let Terrell Suggs walk, and all they had to do was give him a 1-year contract for $8 million. They let John Brown walk to the Bills. They had no receivers. They let Zadarius Smith walk to the Packers. They cut Eric Weddle. And so far, they've added Earl Thomas and Mark Ingram.
Hey, man, Earl Thomas, that's a big
Earl
pickup.
Thomas, I think, is better than... I like Earl Thomas. I think he's better than Weddle, but they're still f***ed without Mosley. I don't understand how they couldn't keep him. I really don't. How do you not franchise him at the worst-case scenario?
What did Baltimore come into this offseason cap-wise with?
Like $40-some million?
Oh, yeah, there's no excuses.
No excuse for that.
I mean, even if you give Mosley, let's just say what did Mosley end up getting in free agency? Because he did sign.
He got $17 million a year, and the franchise tag was $15.
Yeah. I mean, even if they gave Mosley $17 million a year, and they front-ended that contract, so basically they're paying him everything up front. I mean, at the most, you're getting hit for what, $22 million in cap?
Yep. You're still fine. Makes no sense.
And I get it if you were trying to go after like some of the other big name guys.
Like Trey Flowers.
I guess they did get Earl Thomas, but I mean like that's one guy.
And they cut Eric Weddle too. So like you're getting better, but not much better.
Like if they were gonna come into this and be like, hey, look, we're letting Suggs walk, we're letting Mosley walk, we're letting this guy walk and that guy walk, and we're gonna be as active as the Browns are.
Yeah.
Like, you start trading guys, you start signing guys, you're all over the board. And by the way, we didn't mention this before. The Browns said they're not done yet.
I know. They still have money, too, I think.
Right. I think they came into it with probably like $1 million in cap space. So, because everybody's on rookie deals. But
yeah,
I'm sorry.
They're gonna suck though.
I just said they came into it with $1 million in cap space. I said $1 million because I was thinking like as a poor person, $1 million is a lot. But I realized $1 million in cap space doesn't even get you one player.
It'll get you a 7th round draft pick maybe.
Yeah. So they came into this offseason with like, I think they had like $80 million in cap space. The Browns did, or something crazy.
Yeah.
They had a crazy number.
The Ravens are gonna suck. They're totally f***ed. They really are.
No, they're going to break out the Wildcat. It'll be all right.
I don't understand how they're going to win 6 games. Like, where's the pathway to where they win 6 games?
Strength of schedule?
Oh, first place schedule. Yeah. Wonderful.
Well, I mean, you're going to get 2 losses to the Browns. Maybe you beat the Steelers twice. Maybe you beat the Bengals twice.
No, there's 4.
There's 4 right there.
All right.
If you could squeak out 6 across the rest of the schedule, then you got 8 and 8. Or no, I'm sorry. Or 10-5. 10-6.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I just woke up. My math's not good.
All right, Chad. We have anything else? Any other deals we want to talk about?
Nick Foles signed with Jacksonville, but
Nick
I think everybody
Foles.
knew that was coming.
That's another one. Who the hell was Jacksonville bidding against? That's what I want to know. Who the hell was bidding against them? There's no way you can convince me they couldn't have gotten him for less money.
Redskins, maybe the Giants had their hand in there.
There's no way the Redskins were bidding after trading and eating that Keenum contract along with still paying Alex Smith.
Oh, I forgot they traded for Keenum. That's right.
Yeah. Who
Miami?
the hell? I mean, Miami's still stuck with Tannehill. He hasn't been cut yet, so I don't know, maybe, but who the hell were they bidding against?
The Giants.
I don't know. It's a lot of money.
Maybe that's why the Giants haven't cut Eli yet. They're like, hey, look, we want to get Nick Foles. If we get Nick Foles, Eli, you're out of here.
I just think Foles is Fitzpatrick. He's good in like 2 or 3, 4 game windows. And in the starting job, I don't know.
Well, what does this do for Jacksonville? I mean, they still have a good offensive line, so we know Nick Foles is going to be protected.
They have a running back who runs into the line of scrimmage and falls over.
Still got a pretty good defense.
They don't have anything else. They have no receivers, no tight ends. Defense is good, though.
I mean,
they're not better than Indy.
We were saying a couple years ago, if they can get an average quarterback, they're contenders.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think they're better than Indianapolis, though, with Andrew Luck. As long as he plays the way he's playing.
That's fair.
Anything else?
I mean, as far as signings go, I think we covered all the big ones.
All right. D Ford has been traded to San Francisco, and they cut Justin Houston. I really want to know what the Chiefs' plan is on defense.
I don't know. I mean, that was the best part of their defense.
Yeah, and they were still terrible.
Maybe they're going to try to move up, get Nick Bosa.
It's not going to happen.
That would probably be too rich for their blood, though, you think?
Yeah. They have to score 40 points a game to win.
Which they can do. Easily.
Yeah.
The problem is when the other team can score 40 points.
Easily. All right, Chad. This was a pretty good episode today.
Yeah, just an emergency free agency show. But anyway, don't forget to give me a follow on Twitter at Lilfooted, LILFOOTD. Follow Trey as well on Twitter at Trey Daubert, TREYDAUBERT. Check out the main page, vendettasportsmedia.com. You can like us on Facebook and also give us a like on Twitter, Vendetta_media. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, thedaydrinkers.com. You can like them on Facebook, check out their stuff. It's pretty cool. Plus, they have the official Vendetta branded stuff as well. Thanks for giving us a listen, and we'll see you next week.